to college in Michigan to become a school teacher and play trumpet. Then I went to Berklee College of Music to write music, jazz composition, study audio engineering. And while I was working with musicians, I noticed how unorganized the musicians I worked with, they had trouble getting to the gig. So I started working with these bands and doing productions. And then I went out as an audio engineer and did sound. I worked with Whitney Houston when she started, B.B. King, a bunch of artists like that. I did Ballada Rock tours. I did Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and I'd worked with Queensryche and Rush and a bunch of bands like that. And I got a call from Harry Connick Jr., his manager was a friend of mine. And so he and I started talking about writing some music together because he never wrote music and he never wrote it down. So I transcribed his first 4 albums and published a book with him through Warner Brothers, and then went to work with him and went on the road with him. And I got a call from Ted one day. He said that Lucille was looking for help. And when Sonny and Lucille were out touring, Lucille did all the work. She did all the tour management, logistics, production, and it's a lot of work. And, you know, she was in her 70s. She's probably 60s at the time. She's in her 60s. And so they were in Boston, and so I went down and I sat down with Lucille in a hotel, and we just sat and talked for about an hour or so. And we hit it off. It was nice. And so she said, well, I want you to come to New York, talk to Sonny, and we're going to go to Europe in, you know, a couple of weeks. So I went down to their apartment when they were in the tower and walked in the door. It was really interesting because I had never met Sonny, and he knew that I had a background as an audio engineer, and he knew that I'd toured with a bunch of different artists. And I walk into his door. I want to walk into that apartment, and he's like, oh, Peter, I really wanted to talk to you. I want to meet you. I have a bunch of questions for you about microphones. And I was like, you have questions for me? Yeah, I've been reading your resume, and Ted's been talking about you. I'm like, you've been reading my resume? I'm like, I'm reading your history of your life, you know? I mean, I went to school and studied jazz. I was transcribing Miles Davis and Sonny Rollins solos, you know, and here I am standing in his apartment, and it was cool. And I mean, we talked for an hour, went downstairs, got in a car, headed to the airport, and flew to who knows where. It was Zurich, I think, at the time, or Paris or something, and then we spent a month in Europe. It was the cutest thing ever because they were so far apart in some of their beliefs, and to watch those two, we would get on a tour bus. We took a lot of tour buses in Europe, and to watch those two in a tour bus, they would sit we would have regular seats, and they'd sit across from each other in an aisle, and they would talk politics. And Sonny was one way, and she was the other way completely. And they would just, her laugh, that laugh, and then she would just, oh, no, you're wrong, and they would just argue politics, like, not argue, but serious discussion of politics. And then they'd get off the tour bus, and you'd see them hold hands, and they'd walk off. And, you know, they're in their 60s and 70s. They'd hold hands and walk off into the restaurant and the rest area. It was cute. It was really cute to see, you know. It was nice. She had her strong beliefs, and he was totally the other way. He was very, much more liberal, and she was very conservative. Well, there's 2 big parts to tour management, and one is logistics, and the other is 90% of the job is personality. And you have to know their personality, whether it's the guy from Air Supply who has some quirk that might be he needs something, as to Sonny Rollins who has a specific need, and you have to know what that specific need is and how to meet it, or if it can't be met, how to explain that to the artist. That's really the number 1 thing. The number 2 thing is logistics, and that's just flights, hotels, buses, all that. All those details that have to be covered. That can be done as long as you know the needs of the artists, then it can be done. Lately with Sonny, I mean, I've known him long enough and well enough that I know what his needs are, and so I can meet those, so I don't have to ask him questions about what specific hotels. Sometimes I will, but so it's a little easier. And also the travel schedule that we do now with Sonny is a lot easier than I would do with you know, a Quiet Riot or something where you're working every night or every other night. Even Harry Connick, you know, when you're with Trucks, you know, the singer's not going to work every night. They may work 2 nights in a row and have a day off, and you've got to get to the next city overnight. But with Sonny, he likes to have a day off before the show, a day off after the show, a travel day. And at 79 years old, and with a career like he has, he deserves it, and he should. And it changes the budget completely, but so what? I mean, we're not here to make money. I mean, in a way, we're here to make money because it is a job, but we're also not here to make money. We're here to make music, and so I think that is the key thing in this type of touring and this type of music is, you know, if in a rock band you're there to make money and just share the music. Here, in this type of tour, you're here to make music and you make money from it because you have to make money to survive. I can't say how he deals with it because he would have to answer that question other than to say that he's not worried about their expectations, he's worried about his own expectations. And his own expectations are much higher than what anybody in the audience would expect of him. For so many years, he would come off the stage and his line was, "Those poor people, they had to listen to that music, they're going to want their money back. I played terrible. I can't believe how badly I played." And I'm thinking, that was amazing. And I think now he's getting to a point musically where he feels like he's getting to where he can see where he wants to go now. He's said recently, "I can see where I want to go. I'm on the right path." Most people will talk to him about his recordings way out west or the bridge. Everyone always asks about the bridge and that time of his life, but no one asks him about the Mets. You know, he's a huge baseball fan, and since we talk about Red Sox, he follows the Red Sox now. Yeah, and Sonny and Lucille were both Mets fans, but Sonny's a Mets fan, and he definitely, you know, he's a baseball fan, and he's a very healthy person, so he likes to eat healthy foods and take care of himself. There's a lot of people have different reactions. I mean, a lot of respect from a saxophone player. He is in that league, but he's also a real person, a real human being, and very, very gentle and kind and nice. Which I see that part more than. I mean, I get to see his shows, every show he does. So, I mean, I see how amazing they are. And I totally respect him and his career, but I also see him as the kind human being that he is, which I enjoy more in some ways than listening to the CD. I love listening to music, but he's just such a nice guy to talk to.